parentheses up there. Which one leads to the most airwork? You think? I hear distraction, I hear rage. There. Drowsy. Any more?
I do.
Dead.
Dead? Anybody want to double up? Vote for something the same? Drinking? Distraction? Okay, I'm going to put that. Okay. Think of all kinds of, all of them? Definitely. I mean, again, more than likely, 90–95% of those crashes that you see on the side of the road, on the freeway, elsewhere, it's human error. And, well, at least a plurality got it. It is distraction. Number one cause. Typically, you won't believe this, you think male or female? You think female?
No.
And you're admitting to it, you're coming to it. Huh?
Everybody says females and
Isn't it like the insurance company? Like, there's more money.
Yeah, maybe. It's true that on the whole, men will have to pay more for their insurance up until a certain age. And it's because they're really responsible for those big crashes. If they're going to do it up, they're going to do it up good. 60, 70, 80, 100 miles an hour. Females actually have a few more fender benders that are just minor. But they are responsible for most of these. Let's do gender, sex, and age of the driver, and percentage of time. Well, drowsy drivers tend to be who? Male or female? Male, it is. How old do you suppose they are? Old? You know, the older you get, the less sleep you really need. Think of your great-grandparents, your grandparents.
They go by like 4 o'clock.
4 in the morning.
Let's
go. Yeah. It's usually younger, about 20 to 28. Okay? And about 80% of the time. 80% of the time, drowsy driver incidents are this profile of individual. Drinking, driving, what do you think? Male or female? It is. Thinking they can get away with it. What ages? 21. 21 to 34 is the national average, basically, yeah, for the person responsible for drinking, driving, killing, more than 50%. All right? But during the hours, the wee hours of the morning, what do you suppose? 80% of all the fatalities that occur during that time of the wee hours, midnight to 3 in the morning. Those 3 hours. This male driver in his 20s is responsible for killing people. Again, this is why they have such high car insurance rates. 80%, 80%. The distraction thing, it is mostly female, but males are just as responsible. And male teenagers are 4 times as likely to get involved in a crash than their female counterparts. It's true. So really, no way the girls are better drivers. So make that home when you're done. Distraction, number 1. What do you suppose are the causes of certain distractions? Texting, makeup, good. Let's call boys. Okay, where are the boys or the friends?
Everywhere.
Everywhere. Okay, we have 3 kinds of distractions. Think about the location of where they are. Okay, you've got the inside of the vehicle, so you can have friends, like you said, inside the car. That's why there's a law that says you can't have any more than what? 3? After what time? After 6 months, that's right. But before the 6 months is up, guess what? No friends at all, right? Again, because once you add 3 more people on board, that leads to a higher risk for you to get involved in a crash, hence the law. Yeah.
When, like, it's your first 6 months with your license, does the rule still count as a permit if you drive with someone 5 years older?
It does. Yeah, it still applies. Yeah. It doesn't apply right now on your permit. Do you guys understand what she was asking? Once you get your license, they're a little more, restrictive. They're clamping down on you. They want to make sure you still don't have your friends in the car. On your permit, you're allowed to have your friends. But then that goes away, okay? Because even if you have a parent on board, even if somebody is 5 years on their license, etc., you can't have a teenager on board unless they're a part of your family. Yeah, that's right. So again, they're clamping down once you get your license for the first 6 months. At the 6-month mark, then what? You get how many friends? 3. What happens after a year?
Unlimited?
It is, really. Well, let's say you have the same restriction that other motorists on their regular driver's license, like us, have. You're not allowed to drive any more than how many people?
However many years.
There you go. That's too many. Have to have a chauffeur's license for that. How many per car can handle? That's true, that's true. But what is the largest size vehicle you're allowed to drive?
SUV.
What kind of?
Hummer.
How many people can you sit on board there?
10.
10, really?
I
You
don't
can
know.
go more, actually.
9.
15.
A 15-passenger van is what you're allowed to drive.
Oh.
Even on your permit, even on your IDL, okay? You can drive as many as 14 other people, including yourself. 14, and then yourself 15. Yep.
Is it true that if you have a truck and all the seats like are full in front of the truck, that's
It's not true. People make that common error. They think, oh yeah, I got all this room in the back bed, or in the back of the station wagon or something. Let me just fit you back there, no problem. Nope. Everyone in this state's required to have a seatbelt. Everyone. And think of it, a couple weeks from now, we'll look at crashes and why we want to have everybody on board having a seatbelt and restraining them. Otherwise, their body becomes a projectile, your direction. And then you become injured because of their failure to wear a seatbelt.
Wait, never.
You sure?
I just thought it there and it didn't make sense.
It didn't make sense?
Well,
That's
the
interesting.
question was like,
You're a
can you
thinker.
have seatbelts like without seats, but the
That's,
seatbelt
you
things
know,
are-
no, that's a good question. Some people add extra seatbelts to the back of their truck or something, or they install, free floating chairs and then put a seatbelt on it. And it's all aftermarket stuff. You can do that as long as it's secure and right. Yeah.
Is it illegal to double buckle?
Yes, it is. It is. It's not how the seatbelt was intended to be worn, in other words. Okay? Just as much as it's illegal to take that harness, and do this kind of thing and put it underneath you. And you're going to cause more injury to yourself if you do that. You have to have the harness there. You always do that?
Yeah.
Think of what happens in a crash when you go forward. You break your ribs.
What if you put it like behind you and it's this thing and this part
Yeah, you can do that, but again, then what happens to your head? It goes into what? Okay? There's no stopping it. And it's gonna feel worse than what you just felt in that panic moment when I did that. It'll be fun. In about 2 or 3 weeks, we'll talk about crashes, and you'll see
like
the effects of it.
in the middle seat where they started like.
Yeah, that's right. In the middle seat in the back, you guys know, it used to be just the lap belt there.
Is it illegal now? Just
No, it's not. It hasn't been mandated by law yet. It should be, I think. But yeah, a lot of cars have gone to that. That middle seat belt is not going to any longer be a lap belt. The lap belt isn't as useful. And it turns out that some parents, when they drive their kids around, and maybe they're sleepy or they're under the influence of alcohol or drugs, they tend to kill that person right there. Not the child that's on the side in the harness, but that one there. Because what happens to the belt? The belt is probably riding up on their belly, and then when they bend over like this in the crash, because the momentum of their body going still that same direction, but the cars stop suddenly. All right, what's going to happen to the internal intestinal tract, the stomach and lining of it? It'll rupture,
Mr. Ritchie,
and kids in the back will die. Yeah.
I had a friend that was going on to a trip to Disneyland. They got in an accident, and there was a guy, it was a bus with people, like a van, like a big van. The guy in the last seat decided he was going to lay down and put the seatbelt on as he was laying down. They got in the accident. When my friend woke up after being unconscious for a while, half his body was in the front seat and half was in the back seat.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Wait, he woke up?
Wow.
When the gal woke up,
Screw.
yeah.
Completely.
She felt, she got unconscious when the accident happened, and she woke up and this guy's body was basically in two places because he was laying down when he had the seatbelt on.
Was it a rollover crash?
I don't know.
Seems like it. Oh, wow. No, I've never heard of that happening. Now you guys know. Yeah. Yeah, like if it's from 1962. Exactly. You can still drive it. Okay, they weren't made to have that, and the law didn't exist until 1964, that you're supposed to have lap belts in cars, and then small trucks later. So as long as the law applies, to that particular model vehicle, and then the vehicle itself was intended to have it, you're supposed to wear it. I have a 65 at home, and it definitely has 2 lap belts in it. The harnesses weren't invented until later by a guy from Volvo, the 3-point harness. And so anybody driving there has to have their seatbelt on. How many people can I drive? Just one other person. Got this big long bench in the front of this truck and can only have one other person. That's the law. Good questions. We'll get around to all these restraint system laws in a couple of weeks, the things that you have to put kids in, depending on their size and their ages. Yeah?
Actually, I was saved when I was younger in a crash we got into because of being in like the high chair.
In a booster seat?
Yeah, the booster seat.
Yeah.
Actually, it wasn't tightened,
Yeah.
so it moved, but the movement saved my life.
Oh,
That was the
interesting.
best thing.
Because of where the impact occurred,
Yeah, and
and
then
you were able to get out of.
it
Yeah.
turned over and stuff.
True, true. I understand that. Okay, inside distractions. You guys mentioned quite a few. Guys, friends. What else? Huh? Music. Yeah, that's a common one. We said some others earlier. Music, and it has led. What was that? The mirror in your car because you're doing what? Mirror on the wall. Makeup. Okay. Yeah, it's pretty common. You're in a rush, and that's why I don't let my third born drive yet. She's all about the makeup and the bare essentials and the Sephora and everything. And I didn't know, Tasha, you don't get a drive yet because you got to put your face on before you leave the house. I'm not gonna allow you to have the license yet. Her sisters were a bit more sensible, but it's very common. And you do it, and you want it. Don't do it. Takes your eyes off the road. All the driving is using your eyes. I've seen people do what? Not just makeup. Even guys are responsible too for shaving. The electrical razor. Yeah, electric razor. It's a Norelco. It's been not the straight edge. Yeah, definitely nick yourself. And what? No, it gets kind of sucked right into the little compartment behind where the rotors are. Huh? Yeah, it is fancy. Yeah, they've been around a while. You guys wouldn't know. You're not shaving, are you? Not yet, anyway. Okay. Maybe in your 60s, 70s. Electrolysis works really well for that. I'm on. I once saw a woman do nails while driving. Like this! Foot up on the dash, and she was painting.
I watched that lady have a knife in her car. She was slicing her apple.
Oh, running with scissors. Man, that's what that's about. Don't do that. That's no good. Yeah, I can see, a lot of things happening there. Music, mirrors, you guys are coming up with good ones.
Shot herself.
Anything else?
Cancel that.
Texting.
Looking for a lighter.
Looking for a lighter, because it's moving around.
I'm not
making
sure.
sure.
You drop
Drop things. Do what? Even just smoking, or, yeah. Awesome. Good. They're trying to make this illegal in this state, by the way. Yeah, smoking in the vehicle. Mostly for its secondhand, obviously, inhalation by children and other people on board. Just like they've prohibited from public places. Yeah?
There are a lot of cars have like the automatic like lighter things in them.
Yeah, they're automatic lighters, but still, maybe you're looking down to use it, and just that second or two that you're doing it, maybe take your eyes off the road at a critical point. What happens while you're smoking? What happens to the
One hand's off
ash?
the wheel.
You're on one hand on the wheel, and then the ash starts to. It could go out the window, or it could fall in your lap, and then you got a lap fire. Burn yourself. That's right.
Lighting your own car's on fire.
You know, if you flick that out the window, you know what fine that is, you guys? Not quite that much. It is a littering fine, but it's a hazardous material. It's $1,025 just to flick that. Yeah. That's the way the law works. I know. Remember the $101 fine, for not wearing a seatbelt. Now it's $134. The basic fine. Random, they just want to get in. Okay, those are good. All kinds of inside distractions. The most common one I mentioned earlier, and it's why some cities have forbidden you verboten. Which one is it? Eating, drinking, eating, taking some water off your mug in the car. Yeah.
How do cops have their seatbelt on?
How do they know? They can see the harness right there, and they know the make and the model of the vehicle, the year, and you can tell, yeah, it should be having a harness. And so if it's just hanging there, or it's like taut and it's behind your back, then they know you're not wearing it properly. Or
Your
no.
shirt that must have a seatbelt.
You're coming up with the weirdest ones. Do you really want to do that? I know it's okay. All right. Inside distractions. Obviously, there's outside distractions too, and that could be any number of things, like you guys just said. People. What kind of people? Boy, pedestrians. Crazy people. That's a good one. Yeah. Yeah. They're in a fight, an altercation. I gotta watch.
The homeless people that ask for
Homeless people that ask for money. They're holding signs, and you go on to try to read it, but no. Your eyes are off the road. The shakers. That's right. They don't realize how distracting that is. I'm really drawn to ugly people. I see an ugly person, and I want to look. I've got to look. People. People who need people. Wonderful people. Okay. You got, what else? Advertisements themselves. Right? Big Teletrons, big TVs. Oh, that's a good one. Now that's
Other cars.
other cars. Yeah, you want to see what kind of model that is. That's pretty souped up. Vehicles. Okay. Maybe it's just the scenery. Right? I live near the water in North Tacoma. We both do, and I'm driving through there and look out on the bay when the sun's just going down. That's just gorgeous. And you take your eyes off and you want to see that. And it's calming and it's relaxing, but at the same time, the stress of the road eludes you. You need to pay attention to that. Yeah.
It's gorgeous because we don't live Tacoma anymore. We actually got our car broken into at the waterfront.
Oh, you did? Down on
Yeah.
Ruston?
And the funny thing is they stole my sister's purse, which all it had was like maybe $30 worth of lip gloss.
Yeah.
And like it was just kind of dumb.
Yeah. But they saw it as a purse and as an opportunity.
The thing was we had cars, or we didn't have cars, we had like bikes in the back of our car, but they stole the purse.
They didn't steal
And
the
they
bikes.
broke
It's a
the
road.
window, the driver's side window instead of the passenger window where it was like.
Yeah.
It was so dumb.
Yeah. I mean, think of it. These people are, it's a crime of opportunity. It's immediate. They got to be quick about it so they're not using their head. Speaking of that location, we get a lot of nice older cars down there too. And you want to see those late you know, 50s models, 40 models, antique vehicles. You guys know the LeMay Car Museum, and it's the biggest in the whole continent now. The only bigger one than LeMay is in the world is down in South America. But yeah, there's over 300, 400 vehicles on display there, and then they rotate more in all the time. But it's awesome to see those things. Moments distraction. This is probably the more difficult kind of distraction you have to mess with.
Earthquake.
Earthquakes, that's an interesting one.
Tsunami.
I was
Volcanoes.
Those are good. Those are outside. The weather,
Car crashes are distracting from sleeping.
yep. Seismic activity. Car crashes. Okay, there's one other kind, the third kind of distraction that's probably harder for you. What?
In your head.
That's it. I thought somebody said it. It's the internal ones, the inside ones of your head, the emotions, the thoughts, the second thoughts, the voices you're hearing, whatever it is that's going on in there. You may have a bad conversation, a bad argument. Thinking of your boyfriend. What you're going to do for the weekend. All right? Maybe you almost got fired from a job, or you did get fired. Now depression and all that is say. Should you be driving?
No.
No, you shouldn't. At that point, it's hard to manage that kind of stuff going on in your head.
What if driving will clear your head?
Driving clears your head? Does it do that for you?
Yeah.
You have to know your limits. Absolutely. Causes you stress? Me too. Yeah, more tension in the arms and elsewhere.
My mom always calls me car narcoleptic because I'm falling asleep in the car.
That's a good one. I gotta write that one up here. Car, narcolepsy. I'm gonna remember that. I gotta write about it sometime. Okay. Yeah, that wouldn't be a good ailment to have when you're a driver. So what would you do to compensate for it? What will keep you awake? Caffeine, okay. Drink coffee, open a window, those kind of things. Maybe you need somebody on board with you at all times.
But
help keep you.
music, like, that has really fast beat.
Oh, okay.
To keep it awake.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, when you're doing all these things and you're trying to compensate for the distraction or the deficiency with your body, can you really always overcome it? In other words, is there going to be a point at which we just have human limitations and we won't be able to succeed beyond certain things? Can you really stay up for 36 hours straight? Can you? I know I've done it. And it's no good, all right, and I wouldn't recommend it for anybody. I don't do those long drives from Seattle to LA anymore like I used to straight through when I was younger in college and graduate school. I don't do that anymore. I can't. I know my limitations as I'm getting older. Yeah.
When me and my mom were driving to California, she started to get overheated or something because it was really hot out. And so we had to pull over and she had to walk around for half an hour.
It's a good idea. It's a great recommendation. In fact, we'll see that in a video called "Road to Disaster" near the end of the class, and it's a test on how susceptible you might be to falling asleep at the wheel or being drowsy. How you can compensate for it. This one is going to be a different sort of test. I'm going to test and see if you're distractible by nature. Okay? These are the common distractions we talked about, and we're all going to have them. And we all need to learn how to manage them, especially the ones you guys might have as older siblings driving your younger brother or sister around, and they're yelling and screaming. They gotta have, this or that snack, and why aren't you getting home fast enough? How are you gonna deal with that? It's gonna be a big distraction. Could lead to a crash, especially if you turn around and yell at them. I got this game of I Spy we're gonna play. It's called I Spy. It's developed by a psychologist, originally from Harvard, I believe,